we kept in touch. As a matter of fact, I saw him in Tirana during the war. I was in Tirana.
During the Kosovo War.
Kosovo War. And we got together briefly to see each other. And then he contacted me, I guess it was 2007 or 2008. I'm trying to remember. And he knew at that point I was, again, at odds with Berisha. And he said, I had a contract to repackage the Chinese ammunition. First of all, stepping back, this company, AEY, won a $300 million contract to supply ammunition. They were going to sell it to the US Army to be used by the Afghan Army because they had AK-47s. So they needed ammunition. The United States doesn't make ammunition. So they found it in Albania. What they didn't know, it was Chinese manufactured. This was illegal.
Yes, because US doesn't use Chinese.
Doesn't use it, and they banned it.
Yep.
They banned it. So these guys from Diveroli, who was the head of AEY, and is shown in the movie's not so accurate. The movie's maybe 50% accurate. The
50% accurate.
I'm sorry?
50% accurate.
A lot was made. Brad Cooper, that story was made up. There was a guy, an arms dealer, but not that was made up. A lot of it, you know.
Jonah Hill is this guy.
Diveroli, he's a crazy guy.
Yeah.
So they hired Costa Drabiska. Basically, I think they sort of picked them out of the telephone book. I think they went to, I forget, Albanian American Chamber of Commerce or something. Costa Drabiska was a businessman. He had a packaging company. So I guess he was a logical guy to hire. So they told him...
This is accurate in the movie, as I recall.
Yeah, but they don't mention him. Yeah, it's part... The movie is a true story, but fictionalized.
Sure.
Okay? So they hired him. And in the middle of the contract, they said, well, we're sorry, we have to take it away from you. And we're going to... Then he found out they're giving it to Della Giorgi. Now, I don't know what the truth is, but according to Costa, he alleged that Della Giorgi was in business with Shkelzen Berisha. And he was pissed off.
Shkelzen Berisha is Salis Berisha's son.
So he wanted to get back. He lost money on the deal. They took I think it was a $250,000 contract, something like that. And he didn't know how to do it. He knew that I was out there aggressively criticizing Berisha. So he contacted me. And he said, I've got this tape recording of Diveroli, the president of AEY, saying that it's a corrupt deal. It went up higher to the prime minister, meaning Salih Berisha, and his son. So I'm listening to this, and I'm saying, well, this doesn't sound good. He gave me contracts showing where they were buying the ammunition from, where it was coming from. It was flowing through a company in Cyprus. There was an arms dealer, really arms dealer called Henry Tomet involved. He was a guy that had a black background. So anyway, they took him out. He asked if I could help. He gave me all of this information. I took the information. I went to the New York Times. The New York Times made it a front page article. I took it to the...
You went to New York Times?
Yes. A guy named C.J. Chivers. He was one of the top war correspondents of the time. He was an expert on the AK-47. He's a former Marine captain. So he was very interested in the story.
So you're the person who broke the story?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And it talks about it in the book, and C.J. Chivers even acknowledged it in one of his books. So, and I brought it to the Oversight Committee of U.S. Congress. I arranged for Costa Drabiska to be interviewed by them. I brought it to the Department of Justice, and eventually the whole house came down. And Diveroli was arrested. Pacos, another guy involved, was arrested. There was a guy from Utah. He was arrested. They were convicted by the Department of Justice, and they went to jail. No one from Albania was ever touched, though. And that annoyed me because, obviously, it took another side to do that deal. They were working with the Albanian MICO, the Albanian agency of their equivalent of the Defense Department that was supplying the ammunition. And it's very hard for me to believe that Salih Berisha didn't know what was going on. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
For him not to know.
A $300 million contract to supply the U.S. military with weapons and ammunition from Albania, it's impossible for him not to know.
And what do you now know about what happened with the explosion in Gardets? How do you see that?
Well, you know, some people put those two together. They're sort of related but separate. Because the common thread with Gardets and AEY was that Della Giorgi, who was given the repackaging contract for the Chinese ammunition, he also had the contract for Gardets. And I started investigating that and found out that the way they were handling the ammunition was, there was gunpowder all over the floors, and people were smoking in the factory. It was a recipe for disaster. And I don't know if that's what ignited the explosion, but they had children working there, they had women working there, and it was horrible. And Berisha, the first thing he said, "Oh, I don't know anything about this."